Good evening, dear viewers. Skyline News at 7 p.m. My name is Comrade Mercy, and in today's top stories, a growing number of university graduates are struggling to find employment months and even years after completing their studies. Moving on to HIV continues to spread among young people in universities as they lack proper action on how to prevent the spread of the disease. Makerere University as an institution picks up the competent best learning educational shift as it is for the whole country. Stay tuned for the news in detail after the short commercial break.
Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda.
Hi guys, this weekend we are snacking on Gonja crisps only. We are doing it the easy way. You get it? Clack it.
Your minds test the magic.
Welcome back from the short commercial break, and here is the news in details. Now, despite earning academic qualifications, many young people say they face limited job opportunities, a lack of work experience, and increasing competition in the labor market. Experts warn that graduate unemployment is becoming a serious social and economic concern. Recent observations show that thousands of graduates continue to search for jobs while others have turned to small businesses, internships, or volunteer work to gain experience and earn a living. Let's have more information from our field reporter, Ms. Nabiri Angela Duffin.
Thank you. My name is Navili Angela Dapin. I am standing next to Makerere Western Gate. If you look around, you will see young people everywhere and they are waiting for work. Some are selling SIM cards just to get through the day. These young people just recently finished their university studies and they are graduates, but they are not having jobs that they studied for. Uganda is one of the countries in Africa with the most youth population, but for many youth in Uganda, this feels like a trap than an advantage. Emmanuel is 20-something years old, and like many Ugandans, he had a dream, a clear picture of the life he wanted to build for himself. But without the right qualifications, that picture remained exactly that, a dream. He is not alone. It is the gap between what young Ugandans dream of and what the education system actually prepares them for.
Amazina gange bananditse Emmanuel aye ndingano ku Makerere naye omulimo gukoraho gwokuota aye kesi naye nendile kweho badokita omusangu yombi naye halemererwa habe.
Emmanuel's story is one that plays out across Uganda every single day. Young people full of potential, working jobs that were never the plan because the system never gave them the tools to reach where they wanted to go.
We look at a job advert and I want 3 years experience. But how can I get experience without being given a chance first? It's like a circle designed to fail you. And they tell you to be patient. Patient for how long exactly?
The government has not been sitting entirely still. Programs like Imyuga and the Youth Livelihood Program were launched specifically to tackle this crisis, putting money and opportunity into young people's hands. But the reach has been painfully small. The same 2024 census that exposed the scale of unemployment also revealed that less than 1% of young Ugandans have ever accessed Imyuga. The programs exist, the people are just not getting to them, or they are not getting to the people.
Yeah, so we are not against government, and we are not saying that there's nothing being done. All we are saying is it is not enough, and it is not reaching us. So if you create a government program and the people it is supposed to serve actually do not know that it exists, then who is the program meant for?
The numbers are increasing, but behind every number is a person, someone's child who is waiting for a door to open, a door that can lead them out of the unemployment and increase and better their standards of living and their lives. This is Navili Angela Duffin, Skyline News.
Growing concern is emerging over the continued threat of HIV, stroke, AIDS, and other serious health conditions among students, prompting calls for stronger health awareness and prevention programs within institutions of higher learning. University students represent a large and active segment of Uganda's youth population. However, concerns remain about exposure to HIV infection, unhealthy lifestyle, and limited access to regular health information and screening services. While HIV, stroke, AIDS continues to affect many young people across the country, the conditions are such as stroke and non-other communicable diseases are also becoming an issue of concern due to stress, poor dietary habits, substance abuse, and lack of physical activity. We shall have more information from our field reporter.
While Uganda has made historic strides in reducing HIV/AIDS-related deaths, dropping a massive of 64% over the last decade, the battle against new infections is far from over. The latest data from Uganda AIDS Commission paints a worrying picture that the young people are now an epicenter of new infections, with university-aged youth bearing the heaviest burden and the young people aged 15 to 24 years accounting for a massive chunk of these infections.
And the reason why there is a high spread of HIV among the university students, it is because that most of them, they are highly sexually active and they don't even test their partners when they are going to play sex. And another reason is that most of the university students, they have multiple partners and even they don't know their sexual status.
Even worse, out of these youth infections, 21,000 are young girls and women compared to the 11,000 young men. This is further blamed on the high cost of living, where students engage or exchange sex for money.
High costs of living can also lead to such stuff in that some students get so desperate when it comes to living a proper life at campus. So out of that, they can be tempted to go in for these bigger men to get something to eat or even survive at campus. Yeah.
Lack of sex education is also counted to be a contributing factor to this HIV spike.
Among the many reasons as to why there are increasing cases of HIV/AIDS in Uganda, particularly universities, is that these university students lack sex education, even when we consider them learned. They are not taught these things at their homes. They are not taught about sex at home. Even in the modern schools, teachers do not take it upon themselves to teach children about sex.
There is a call to government to introduce compulsory sex education among university students throughout their course.
The government needs to put up a compulsory initiative that during the course of each year's student study, there will be a compulsory course unit about sex education, so that by the time they leave the university, they will have equipped themselves with knowledge about sex, and they will be knowing how to protect themselves and avoid cases where they can acquire this infection from.
In all thy doings, ensure your safety from HIV, stroke, AIDS. Institutions of higher learning are increasingly placing greater emphasis on competency-based education as they seek to equip students with practical skills alongside theoretical knowledge. Makerere University is making this trend more visible, especially in its journalism and media studies, where students are being encouraged to gain hands-on experience in news writing, radio production, television reporting, video editing, photography, and digital content creation, while pursuing their academic studies. Traditionally, much of university learning has focused on classroom instruction and theoretical concepts. However, educators and students alike are recognizing the importance of complementing theory with practical application to better prepare graduates for realities of the workplace. We shall get more information from our field reporter, Natasha Tracy.
As Uganda moves towards competency-based learning, Makerere University is moving beyond the lecture hall and straight into the field. Students at the College of Humanities and Social Sciences particularly the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, collaborate with brands like Canon, and students are able to learn as they do. This defines the new educational shift that transforms students from passive listeners into active creators. Davide Angela Daffin, a student of journalism at the College of Humanities, says the system is equipping and skilled based, though it is a bit tiresome when it comes to time for projects.
And as we continue to talk about the competent-based learning, as we have already said, the education system has actually shifted more from the traditional ways of teaching, where there was a lot of classroom sittings and assessments and participation from the students, to a practical way that is a bit modern, where children are encouraged to come up with projects that they work on, and this enables them to get more practical skills. And we wonder whether it is actually our genuine and competent way of teaching. Are the students really ready after these assignments and the practical assignments? Are they ready to actually work as competent leaders? And with me here is Navide Angela Duffy, a second year student of journalism at Makerere University, and would like to know from her whether it is actually a very engaging and competent system of education. Angela Duffy, how are you? How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Would like to know from you, how do you find these practical lessons? How have they impacted you? Have they impacted you positively or negatively?
I would like to agree with her. The practical lessons are a bit more engaging, and I think they're efficient because once you step out into the work field, you have more knowledge on the know-how, more not like how it used to be of just knowing the theory part. The only problem is that it becomes a little bit hectic managing the theory, the practical at the same time. So that becomes a bit hard, but on the other side, it is good because you know how to do things and you don't look a little bit like empty when you get out into the work field.
Okay, Angela Duffy, I'd also like to know, since you're a journalism student, I am very quite aware that you guys are sent outside to the field to do news stories and podcasts and stuff. So, do you think that after that practical work, you are now already, like, you've been groomed to be a worker who will be competent just by the practical skills you have acquired?
Yes, I actually think so. Ready would not be the word, but I am not as raw as I started as a person in year one, because once you reach in year two with the course is like electronic media, it is more practical. So I'm not as raw as a person who is just starting and a person who studies maybe at other universities where they don't do stuff like this.
Okay, thank you so much, Angela Duffy. And as we shall continue speaking, we shall get to know and learn a lot from this institution, Makerere University. We shall get to see how this form of education is actually greatly impacting this country.
These practical skills alone are not that effective to groom a responsible worker. We ought to include real work training in form of workshops and internships to equip these students with the real world skills.
Reporting to you on the future of education is Natasha Tracy.
Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda, baby dancing for me and up. Shocky, me say Al Qaeda.
Hi guys, this weekend we are snacking on Gonja crisps only. We are doing it the easy way. You get it? Clack it.
New minds test the magic.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. Now moving on to the sports news. Paris Saint-Germain have been crowned UEFA Champions League champions after defeating Arsenal in a dramatic final. The match ended 1-1 after extra time before PSG emerged victorious 4-3 in a penalty shootout, denying Arsenal their first Champions League title. Here are the highlights.
After a flight of approximately 1,454 kilometers from Islington, London, and approximately 1,490 kilometers from Paris to Budapest, where the Champions League final was held, Arsenal and PSG faced off each other in a highly anticipated and contested game. Arsenal, under the stewardship of Mikel Arteta, came into the finale as underdogs. However, Their efforts to the stage would not be underrated, as they were the only club that had not lost a game right from the first game of the league phase to the final. But also their lack of experience and maturity in such moments, with only Kepa Arrizabalaga Revolta as the only one to have played the final before and won with Chelsea in 2021 and Real Madrid in 2024, being in the squad and even didn't play this time around. In Uganda, the mood was different, with most Arsenal haters having one of their best moments to sum up the month of May. Makerere University students showed the hatred with jubilations and chants of "Champions of Europe, you'll never see that." Titus Sunday, one of the fans, had this to say. Your name, sir?
I'm Titus Sunday Mangeni.
Titus Sunday Mangeni. Which word best describes your mood at the moment?
I'm very happy because it's now 141 years Arsenal without the Champions League. So they were very happy, boss.
So what gives you the happiness? You're a Man U fan, we can see Snapdragon, and yet it's PSG that has won.
It's Man U fan, but for me since childhood, man. Because of just PSG. I'm a PSG fan and Man U fan since childhood.
Is it because you hate Arsenal?
I hate it even more than I can even. I don't know how I can explain it.
So do you hate Arsenal?
I just hate Arsenal because of Arsenal fans. But Arsenal as a team, I love it. But Arsenal fans made me to hate Arsenal.
What do you think made Arsenal lose the game tonight?
Arsenal had a very good game, but just because as you know, football is not as you know.
Arsenal was aiming to make history by lifting their first ever Champions League trophy in their existence and first ever for coach Mikel Arteta. However, they turned out to be the true meaning of once beaten, twice shy due to their inexperience in decisive moments, a factor that led to conceding a penalty through Christian Mosquera.